Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about an important topic of finding meaning after loss. And what do I mean by that? As most of you are aware, if you've been following me on my last few videos, my truest friend had passed away a little bit over a month ago. I've been struggling with grieving and coming to terms with that situation. It's a very tragic event that happened, and it's been very rough trying to cope with all of that. And so, what I've realized is even after a month, um, it's been difficult trying to, come up with what is the meaning of life. And most of us know, can kind of have an idea what the meaning of life is. But when something like this happens, it really throws you a curveball and it makes you question everything in life, right? Just when we all knew what life was all about, this kind of tragedy and loss, it does make you think. It does cause confusion, and the grief alone can cause a lot of confusion and makes you question about life, about why we're here, right? What is the meaning? Why am I living? Why am I existing? So I've given this a lot of thought, and it took me a while, and I'm still, still going to take a longer while to actually continue with the process of grieving. But today, I just want to talk a little bit about, a little bit more positive, have a little bit more positive spin on what a positive outcome could look like through finding a meaning after grief. Perhaps Helen Keller had profound insight regarding this in one of her quotes, saying, "What we have once enjoyed deeply, we can never lose. All that we love deeply becomes a part of us." And that's really, really profound. I actually can resonate with this statement. Um, it's true when someone touches our heart, and it means a lot, and that person means a lot to us. Um, what we enjoyed with them we can never lose, as she says. And all that we love deeply becomes a part of us. That is so true. The people that we've lost along the ways, and for those of you who have also lost loved ones, you know what we're talking about here, right? They will never We will never forget about them. They will always be a part of us, and they always will be in our hearts. So it's a very good, profound statement. To put it simply, we can find meaning after loss by finding me. You see, when we experience a huge loss on our life, we essentially lose ourselves in our grief and sorrow. We become one with sadness temporarily, and as a result, these life changing events do change us. Growing pains cause us to grow whether we like it or not. So I just want to stop right here and say, it's true. I'm going through this, and I can honestly say I'm not the same person I was prior to this tragic event. It Fortunately or unfortunately, these kind of events do change us in life. Um, and even though we do become, as I said here, we become one with sadness temporarily. Um, and but even though these we do become one temporarily, um, and as a result of that, it does change us. Growing pains cause us to grow whether we like it or not. If we live on this earth, change is inevitable, and we are continually evolving. If you think about it, we are not the same person we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or even 30 years ago. In our life's journey, as we come to the crossroads of change, we are again faced with the challenge to heal and learn to love ourselves again. Especially going through the loss of a loved one, we become temporarily overwhelmed and traumatized by our emotional pain. If we're not careful, we can become stuck in our grief, lose ourselves, and become one with our sadness. And when we lose ourselves, so to speak, we begin to feel life is meaningless and may even get depressed. The good news, however, is that we can avoid getting depressed by seeking a professional licensed counselor to help us heal and find meaning after our loss. The path forward out of our woods of sadness is to heal, learn self love by finding ourselves in the grieving process. And I believe it is through finding ourselves, or simply put, finding me, that will ultimately lead to finding meaning after a loss. So, what is finding me? First, finding me is finding the lessons learned. A beautiful article I shared in my previous video is worth repeating here. The article was found online at www.goldenproverbs.com. The title of the article is A Reason, a Season, or a Lifetime. And this is what the article said, quote unquote, people come into your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime. When you figure out which one it is, you will know what to do for each person. When someone is in your life for a reason, it is usually to meet a need you have expressed. They have come to assist you through a difficulty, to provide you with guidance and support, to aid you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. They may seem like a godsend, and they are. They are there for the reason you need them to be. Then, without any wrongdoing on your part, or at an inconvenient time, this person will say or do something to bring the relationship to an end. Sometimes they die. Sometimes they walk away. Sometimes they act up and force you to take a stand. What we must realize is that our need has been met, our desire fulfilled, their work is done. The prayer you sent up has been answered, and now it is time to move on. Okay, so let me just stop right here. I believe this is where I've made some headway and come to terms with my own grief, as in regards to my truest friend that passed away. As you know, he died, and so I don't understand it, but I would have to believe, according to this article that that's been written, that it was for a reason. And so I would say the reason that my truest friend came into my life is to teach me unconditional love. He loved me unconditionally. And that's a really rare gift and a special treasure gift that I will always treasure for the rest of my life in my heart. I have not met too many people in my life that has loved me unconditionally. So definitely, I would say that would be the reason. But anywho, let me continue. Some people come into your life for a season, because your turn has come to share, grow, or learn. They bring you an experience of peace or make you laugh. They may teach you something you have never done. They usually give you an unbelievable amount of joy. Believe it, it is real, but only for a season. Lifetime relationships teach you lifetime lessons, things you must build upon in order to have a solid emotional foundation. Your job is to accept the lesson, love the person, and put what you have learned to use in all other relationships and areas of your life. It is said that love is blind, but friendship is clairvoyant. And that is the end of, quote unquote, that's the end of that article. Now, this is interesting because I believe my last relationship with my truest friend could also be a lifetime relationship. We did divorce after 15 years, but I believe that had he lived, we would have had a lifetime relationship. But he was definitely somebody that I've learned a lot from and has taught me a lot. I've grown enormously with that relationship. And there's things that I've learned from him, from that relationship, that I will carry forth through all my future relationships. So I would have to think about that a little bit more. But it definitely for a reason, and I would even say a lifetime relationship as well. Second, finding me is asking ourselves these thought-provoking questions. How have our experiences shaped us to a new and better version of ourselves? What has this experience taught me? Please check out my previous recent 2 videos where I share personally what loss has taught me and what grief has taught me. How has this experience added to my personal and spiritual growth? What blessings can I identify and be grateful for? What ways can the new version of me be a blessing to others in the future? And from a broader perspective, how can the new version of me positively impact the world and make it a better place. Therefore, finding me is the key to finding meaning after loss. It's learning the lessons and asking those thought provoking questions. Furthermore, it's important not to let our loss define us, but rather redefine us. Let me say that again. Furthermore, it's important to not let our loss define us, but rather redefine us. Loss can be an opportunity to redefine us by letting our loss transform into a divine imprint of a greater love in our hearts rather than a greater loss. Let's let loss then be a catalyst for expansion of who we are and the love within us so that we can be of greater value in serving mankind. This bears repeating. So let me say this again. Loss can be an opportunity to redefine us by letting our loss transform into a divine imprint of a greater love in our hearts rather than a greater loss. Let's let loss then be a catalyst for expansion of who we are and the love within us so we can be of greater value in serving mankind. May our journey always lead us on a path of enlightenment to a higher perspective, a higher self, and a higher love. Okay, so I feel this video has a lot of meaning to me. It has rereading that article about a reason, a season, or lifetime has really put some things for me in perspective. I'm still grieving. There's not a day that goes by that I don't grieve and think about my friend. It's been very painful through this process. Just this past weekend, we had the funeral for him, and that was an emotional day, as you can imagine. So I'm still slowly going through all of this, and it's not easy. But I will say that although I believe this is the way to find meaning, is to find ourselves, is to finding me. I'm not 100% there, but I am getting closer. And I do feel I'm healing very slowly. Okay. I'm being truthful with all of you and being honest. It's not going to be a quick process. Healing is going to take me a little bit more time. Because as I mentioned previously in my other videos, this wasn't just a regular situation where someone died. Okay. It was not only a true friend of mine, a best friend of mine, but I also believe he was murdered. So as I shared in my other past couple of videos, I shared the details of why I feel my friend was murdered. So it's got, there's a little bit more sting to the death that I need to process and to forgive and to heal. So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay. So folks, if you like this video, please click like and click share. If you have any comments you want to add, or if you have anything you want to share from your own experiences of going through your grief healing, please, I welcome you to share your comments. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Okay, this way you can be updated on all my future videos that are coming up. Okay, folks? So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Okay, bye.